Good morning, boys and girls. Thank you for joining with me on this Palm Sunday. I've got another story for you, but it's not by the author Max Lucado. This one is by a gentleman named R.C. Sproul, and the book is called The Donkey Who Carried a King. That's what happened on the first Palm Sunday nearly 2,000 years ago. Well, this story is about a donkey, a young donkey named Davy. And Davy lived in a little village just outside of the holy city of Jerusalem about 2,000 years ago, around the time of Jesus. And he was a young little donkey, and he lived in a pen, and he found his life was pretty boring so far because he didn't have anything to do. All of his other friends in the donkey fold were sent out every day to do work. They had things to carry on their backs, but this little donkey was never sent out, never given a job to do, and he felt like nobody really wanted him and nobody cared about him because he was never picked for anything. All he could do was eat and sleep and stand there and wait and wonder and wander around the pen looking at everything. Well, one of the things he enjoyed, though, about being in the donkey pen was hearing some of the stories about maybe some famous donkeys from the past. He heard about Balaam's donkey from the Old Testament and how God enabled that donkey to speak with a voice that its owner could hear when its owner, Balaam, was being cruel. And then he also heard stories from, not about, but from an old donkey named Barnabas. And Barnabas told him the story of how when he was younger, he had a very special job. Barnabas got to carry years ago. He was owned by a man named Joseph, and Joseph was engaged to be married to a woman named Mary, and they had to travel a long way in order to get to his hometown of Bethlehem for a tax count. And so this young donkey Barnabas got to carry Mary on his back. She was very pregnant, and when they got to Bethlehem, she gave birth to a baby in an animal shelter, and the baby's name was Jesus. And then he got to carry Mary and baby Jesus all the way back to Nazareth again. That was pretty exciting. Well, poor Davy was still bored out of his mind. He was still feeling sad for himself because every day came and went and nobody picked him to do anything. But one day, Davy noticed when he was wandering around in the donkey fold, it's a gated area, he noticed a couple of strange men came up and they were talking to Davy's master. And he overheard a little bit of the conversation, but not much. Just he overheard the little bit that, well, I might have a donkey here for you that you're looking for. And so the master came over and opened up the gate to the penfold, where Davy was, and told the two men, here's a donkey, never been worked before a day in his life, never carried anyone or anything on his back. I think he's just what you need. Well, these two men led Davy, the donkey, through the little village where they were at and headed and found a small gathering of people, and a man almost got onto his back, but before he did, some of his friends put their cloaks, their coats, over Davy's back. And then the man, whose name was Jesus, got on Davy's back. And they started off towards Jerusalem now. And there were crowds and crowds of people gathering in the street, on either side of the street, and they were so excited, they cried out, Hosanna, which means, Lord, save us. And they said, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hail, King Jesus. And they threw their coats on the road, and they threw the palm branches on the road in front of them. And Davy suddenly felt very proud. And he knew, I've got to be the best possible donkey I can possibly be to carry this man who is a king, King Jesus. And so he stepped very carefully on the road, on people's coats and on the palm branches, and they headed into the city of Jerusalem. Well, they got inside the city, and King Jesus got off Davey's back and looked at him and stroked him behind the ears and patted him on the back, and then Jesus and his friends carried on. And the servant had followed them, and he came and he got Davey, and he started taking him back through the town, through Jerusalem and back out into the village where his master was. Well, the next day, poor Davey was put to work. I say poor because he was feeling even more sad and sorry for himself, because now his master was sending him out to carry loads of olives on his back to the market and back. And this went on day in and day out for a few days. And Davey one night is complaining to old Barnabas, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I got to do this. I carried a king on my back. I deserve to carry much better things on my back, like important people. What is this that I have to carry stuff, like olives on my back?" And Barnabas said, "Well, you know, whatever the master puts on our back, that's what we have to carry. That's what we're designed to do. God made us, and he's called us to be this way. And so we carry everything that the master puts on our back to the best of our ability, no matter what it is." So one day, just a few days after he carried King Jesus on his back, the servant has taken Davey back in through Jerusalem, carrying another sack of olives on his back, and he leaves it at the other side of Jerusalem, and they're heading back through the city. And they stop because they see this huge, angry-sounding crowd of people in the streets. And the servant and Davey stand a bit back, and they're wondering what's going on. And then Davey suddenly sees and thinks to himself, "Oh my goodness, that's King Jesus. What's happening to him? He's struggling. I can't even help him. It looks like he's carrying some big wooden, is that a cross that he's trying to carry on his back? I should be there to carry that for him." And before anything more could happen, the servant led Davey away, home, out of Jerusalem, to the village nearby, while the crowd of people carried on their way, taking Jesus to a very horrible place where he would be crucified. Davey was sad at all of this. And he went home and he talked to Gabriel about it. Barnabas about it. His old friend, the donkey, Barnabas, about it. And Barnabas said to him, "You know, Davey, when I was young and I got to carry Mary and baby Jesus on my back, Mary and her husband Joseph knew, they understood that their baby Jesus, their son Jesus, would one day die for the sins of the world. And it looks like that prophecy has come true now. Yes, I know it's very sad." And then, we'll go back. And then Davey thought to himself, and he said to Barnabas, "So you mean that Jesus, even though he was a king, came to be a servant of people?" "Yes," Barnabas said to him. "Yes, you're right. And Jesus the king carried on his back what you said, the sins of all the world?" "Yes," Barnabas said, "that's absolutely correct." Davey thought for a moment, and then he said to Barnabas, "You know what? I'm going to be the best donkey I can be. I'm going to carry anything and everything that the master gives me to carry, and I'll do it the best that I can for King Jesus." Thank you, boys and girls, for joining with me today. May the Lord's peace surround and hold you this day and always.